Hey guys, it's Max. How's everyone doing? Kind of a brisk morning. Well, it's 63 degrees, not that brisk, but it is nice and cool here in Austin. So let's talk options. I'm going to stop calling the show Bone Up on Options. It was the boner jokes are getting old. They aren't funny anymore. But anyway, I'll just put the title of whatever we're trading that day in the title. I'll put the ticker in the title, and that way, if anyone's interested. So we got a couple of hot ones today. On the morning update show, I've been looking at Jackson. What are you doing? On the morning update show, I've been looking at the unusual options activity. We have a new one that popped up in CLH. I haven't seen that one yet. And I've also been looking at the top covered call ideas just to get ideas. Well, this one got my attention. GALT. It's called Galactin Therapeutics. The thing that got my attention was the IV. Here's a 5-year chart of it. It's taking just a second to pull up. This is a drug development company engaged in the development of new therapies for fibrotic disease and cancer. The company uses carbohydrate technology that targets galactin proteins, the key mediator of biological and pathological functions. Galactin Therapeutics uses naturally occurring whatever. Okay, if you guys are interested, you can read that yourself, but it's pretty interesting. Now, that's a good thing. The bad news is this stock's been, you can definitely say the stock is steady. It looked like it IPO'd about $3 a few years ago. It's trading at, or 5 years ago, it's trading at 283 right now. So in any event, something may be up because of the IV. So we're going to take a chance on it. It's also rated as a strong buy. So let's look at the first trade. The first trade is a risk reversal. Yeah, it is. The first trade, I'm selling puts to finance calls, and it's unbalanced. I'm giving myself some convexity, a lot of convexity on this trade. Anyway, okay. So let me exclude the shares. Okay, so this looks very familiar. All this is you're selling a 2.5 strike put that expires in 18 days. You're getting 65 cents for it, or you got 70 cents for it, which is a huge amount of money considering the price of the stock and everything. Look at the IV. It's 377% IV, and you're selling that. So you're bringing that IV in. Well, but then you're turning around and you're buying some out of the money calls, but they're only a 259 IV. So you're selling in the 300s, buying in the 250s. But anyway, forget about all that stuff. What this does is this sets you up in a position where you get $110 for putting the trade on. You get 25% of your money back right away if your total money risk. It costs about $400. You get 110 back right away. But what's even better about it is you get to keep the 110 unless the stock drops below the break even, or you make some profit unless the stock drops below the break even, which is $1.95, which is 31% away from where the stock is right now. Max risk is $400. Now, if you get an outlier move on the upside, a 3 standard deviation move up, and who knows, you probably won't, but okay. Now, what I wanted to compare this to, but you have that for peace of mind. If this is in play and it opens up tomorrow at 17, $2,800 winner on $400 risk. That's what you're going for. But you're also going for this $110 credit and all this buffer. You're kind of going for both of them. Anyway, so let's compare this with just buying stock. Some people don't want to dick with options. I get that. When stocks are this cheap, it's almost sometimes better just to buy the damn stock. Now we're going to compare and contrast. So I'm going to put in here, if we just bought 100 shares of the stock, do your own research on this. I have no idea what's happening. It's probably a rumor or something. All I'm reacting to is the IV. I see IV. I don't care why it's because of. I just want to sell it, and I want to hedge it with some cheaper IV somewhere and try to make a guaranteed profit. Okay, the white line is my option idea, the risk reversal, selling puts to buy calls. You could also call it a bullish loaded dice trade. Well, you can see, well, on the red and green line is the profit loss at expiration if you just buy stock. So let's look at buying stock. Buying stock, the max loss is 283. So it's a little cheaper because you're risking about 400 on the options. Okay. However, when you do the options, if the stock doesn't move, you still make money. If the stock moves down 13%, or if the stock still moves down 30%, you still make money, whereas you're down in stock. The only way you would do worse with the options is if the price dropped under about $1.07. Under $1.07, the options lose slightly more, and the max loss of the options is about 400 compared to 300, so that's 33% higher. So you have 30% more max risk, but it doesn't kick in until under $1. So, this is definitely a bullish play if you're bullish on this. Now look at this though. So, but even if the market goes up 35% for this stock, you still make more doing the option trade I suggested because the white line's ahead of the green. Now, the green line passes the white line for a while, and stock would have done better for a while. But then, and I mentioned it was unbalanced, I did a 2x3 risk reversal. I sold 2 but bought 3. So that gives me extra upside. It gives me extra convexity. This is what convexity looks like. Convexity is a tailwind. The green line is the slope of what you would expect, your profit and loss slope just buying stock. So that's the kind of tailwind stock has. Now look where the white line passes the green line, and the white line does this all the way up. Let's set the target at 100. Let's say this thing's in play or something. At 100, this is about a $10,000. Oh, what? I'm sorry. At 100, the stock's about a $10,000 winner. I don't even know if we can calculate what the option trade is at 100, but let's look, because this is kind of fun how we're shifting the law of averages around here. The main thing we're doing it for is that 25% profit and the buffer right off the bat, though. I hit the wrong thing there. Include. Okay, so the stock would be up $27,000. Not the stock. The stock would be up about $10,000 at 100. The option would be up $27,000. That's convexity. The convexity kicks in where you have the tailwind at your back. But all you did to create it was you bought one more unit that you sold. There's different ways to create convexity, but this is one of them. But remember, though, I really like the fact that you can buy more than you sell, buy 3 units, sell 2, and bring in a credit, and have like a 30% buffer, and not only have unlimited upside, have unlimited upside and triple the upside of the stock. Now, the downside is, of course, you have 33% more risk. So up to you guys. I'm going to hit, let's see, I'm not recommending the shares, so I'm going to remove those, and I'm going to save this trade. I'm not even really necessarily recommending the trade. These trades are for instruction. We're using them, to learn. So, don't do it. Don't do this trade. But if you like these kinds of trades, this is the way that I might think about doing one of these types of trades. Okay. So we're going to save that as a new override existing trade. Okay. So I have one more trade. That one's kind of a long one. Sorry to talk your ear off. I have one more trade. It's a lot easier to understand. And I've already have the stock and the option price pulled up and compared. Okay. So the stock price is the red and green line, and the option price is the white line. Now, you wouldn't say that this trade had convexity because compared to stock anyway, it makes the same stock does. To me, I say something's convex. The trade has a convex profile when it has a steeper slope than stock. But this is the same situation. This is a 4 trade risk reversal. You're selling 3 put spreads to buy 2 call spreads, whatever. But it's a similar type thing. You only lose more if the stock drops more than 40%. And your total loss is $1,400, where the total loss the total loss for the options is about 33. It's the same thing. It's 33% higher. Now, I will say, though, this one, the the cost is 33% higher. The extra one had 300 extra percent on the upside. This one doesn't have that. And I would explain why, but we'll save that for some other time. This one's just it's because of the vol. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to exclude the shares because definitely not recommending the shares. Just wanted to show you. Okay, so let's put the trade together by parts. Here's the first part of the trade. We're selling the 15 put, which is right about at the money, around $8, and we're buying, not because we're bearish, we're just buying the 2.5 strike put just to control our risk a little bit. We really don't even have to do that. Don't worry about that for now. We'll just do this like this. So that's one part of the trade. So just if you did this, market goes nowhere, you make $2,100 on $1,600 risk. This is a great trade by itself. Market goes up, you make $2,100. Market goes down, you can lose money, granted, but the market has to go down more than 46% before you lose money. Great trade by itself. Now, but it has another wing to it. We're going to turn on the call wing. So we'll include this. And this is also unbalanced. I call this trade a 33-21 because you have 3 units on the puts, 3, 3, then 2, 2, and then this one's just a 1. Anyway, what the unbalance does is it gives you upside. And I'll save this trade and you guys can look at it. So now this one, after you put both wings together, you don't make $2,100 if the stock goes nowhere. You only make $1,200 on $2,400 risk. So you only make 50% if the stock goes nowhere. Okay. And which isn't quite as good as the other way. You have a 27% buffer. The other way you had like a 47% buffer. Well, no, I'm sorry. You have a 47% buffer before this trade is worse than just buying the shares. But just on this trade by itself, it gives you about a 30% buffer on the stock price. You have a 30% head start. Okay. Now, if we get an up move, and these aren't like huge outliers, this is the first standard deviation. That's $2,500 winner. Here's the second standard deviation, $4,000 winner. You guys saw the graph. It was stock. It was exactly like stock up here. So this is a way to basically have the same reward as stock, which you do on the upside. But right here in the middle, you have more reward than stock because stock needs to move. Stock doesn't provide an income unless it pays a dividend, but this stock doesn't. Okay, well, I think that trade's interesting too. Once again, though, if you don't understand these, whatever, but you think something's going on with the company, lots of times when the volatility is jacked, the theory is just because other people know something and they're just buying it as fast as possible. So they, irregardless of what the IV is, they're just bidding it up. Well, anyway, we don't know if they're right or wrong, but we can sell some volatility to them and finance a little YOLO fund, right? Okay, so I'm going to save this trade. This is the bullish loaded dice and clean spark. So that gives you guys 2 trades to look at. Remember, these are for instruction and demonstration. And I'll save them, and then we'll come back on tomorrow and we'll see, just like the retirement simulator, we'll get in the option simulator, whatever, and we'll see how he would have done, and we'll follow him all the way through the end of the week, and we'll see, hey, which one was a good idea, and boy, this one was a bad idea. We probably should have just bought stock here, or we'll see. I mean, we'll kind of monitor it. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to post those trades in the comments. I appreciate you all for being here today, and I'll have some more content on later. Thank you very much. Have a great day.